Hello everyone, in this video I will be talking about forks, pins, and skewers. Okay? So what is a fork in chess? A fork in chess refers to one of your pieces attacking two or more of your opponent's pieces at the same time, just with one move. Okay? So remember our checklist, we have checks, captures, attacks. Do we have any good checks in this position? We can look at all the checks that we have. We have knight g6 check, but they can just capture us back with the pawn, so that's not so great, right? So we have another check in this position which is pretty good, and that's called a fork. So we have knight d7 check, attacking the king and also attacking the rook at the same time, so that is pretty good, right? So we'll go ahead and make that move. We have knight d7 check. The king would have to get closer to the knight to try to attack it. As in the case of that, your opponent thinks like, oh, he's not seeing this, but I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Hopefully it's obvious. But yes, we can go ahead and capture the rook. The king tries to get closer to the knight to capture it, and then you can just do another check and even capture more pawns, more material, and then try to win the game from there. Okay, so let's move on to the next position here. The next position refers to also a fork, but in this case, it doesn't come with a check. So forks don't have to always come with a check, the king and something else. It's amazing, but in this case, we would have a fork here that would attack both rooks. And if we remember our point value for the pieces, we have the knights that are 3 points. And remember, they was relative, but in this case, we have like 3 points for the knight, and then we have 5 points per rook, right? So if we're able to get a rook, trade a rook for a knight, that would be really great, because at the end of the game we will have a greater advantage of winning the game, right? So we would go ahead, make the move, knight d7. They don't have to move the rook because they know that they're gonna lose a rook anyway, so they can make a pawn move. But let's say they just move the rook, attacking the knight, and then you would just capture the rook. And then in this position we have a total point value for the white pieces of and referring to like the heavy pieces or minor pieces, 10 points for the white pieces, referring to like both rooks, and then a rook plus a knight will be a point value of 8. So we have an advantage. It doesn't mean that we won the game already. We still have to convert and try to get the win, but we have an advantage. Okay. And the next position is about pins. What is a pin in chess? A pin in chess refers to whenever you have one of your pieces attack a low value piece, and then through X-ray vision, we have a higher value piece behind that. Okay, so in this case, we have a pin. The knight is not able to move. I mean, it can move if it's a queen or other pieces, let's say a rook. Okay, so in this case, the knight can move. But if the knight moves in this position, the bishop would just take the queen. And it would be a queen for a bishop for a queen. That is pretty good for the white pieces, right? So we will be able to have a great advantage to and we can go ahead and win the game, hopefully, right? We need to convert it, so we need to still play chess. Okay, but it's a good advantage. All right, so in this position, it's black to move, I believe. Okay, so a good idea would be to try to defend and block the X-ray vision. We want to block that X-ray vision, and then if you were to capture, you can just capture back, and there's no problem. It's just like even trades, right? Okay, so what if in this case black misses it and black goes with h5? In this position, we have the pressure of the pin, and then we also have a pawn on e4. What if we just move the pawn forward? Now we're attacking a 3-point value piece with a 1-point value piece, a pawn, right? Okay, so in this case, if we were to move the knight again, we would just capture the queen, right? So it will be too late for the black pieces to try to defend the knight, so we would just be able to capture the knight with the pawn, trading a 1-point value piece for a 3-point value piece, right? So if they were to capture, you can just retreat, and now you traded a knight for a pawn. Okay, so that would be pretty good for white. We still need to play chess, but we're up 1 piece. Okay, so let's move on to the next part of this, the pin. So we saw that we were able to move the knight whenever there's a pin But if there's like through X-ray vision, our opponent's looking at the queen or a rook, a higher value piece. What if the X-ray vision is toward the king? In this case, it's black to move, but in this case the black pieces are not able to move the knight because of the king being attacked through an X-ray vision. So if it's a queen or a rook behind it, we can move the pieces. We will be down material in a way, right? But if it's the king behind, then we are not able to move the piece at all. Okay, so for example, in this case, they're not able to move anything here. And if, let's say, they don't do anything, if the black pieces just go ahead and do h4, right? We can just always capture the knight. And if they capture back with the pawn, we have a fork, right? And it's a check too. So we're attacking the king and we're attacking the rook. They can always just block with a knight, but then you can just capture the rook and be up material, right? Because it will be a bishop for a rook, right? And a pawn that we also capture along the way. All right, so maybe a better move in this case for black pieces would be to just defend the knight with the rook. If they were to capture something like this, you can just capture back with the pawn, and then you're still playing chess. Correct? So there are these little things that can happen during your games, and you need to be aware of those. You need to be careful. All right. Let's move on to the last part of the video, and here we'll be talking about skewers. Skewers, like a kebab, right? So in this position, we're able to see that the rook is putting some pressure on the knight. It doesn't mean that it's going to capture right now, because the queen can just capture back, and then the black pieces will be up material, right? A knight for a rook. But because we have some pressure on the knight here, we also have a good move here in this position for the white pieces to be able to win material. Are you able to spot it? Okay, let's go ahead, and we can find here in this position bishop f4. Bishop f4 is able to attack the queen, and through X-ray vision we are able to also attack the knight, which was previously attacked by the rook. So here, if the black pieces were able to move to try to put some pressure on grabbing your pawn here, you can just capture this knight, right? And then the queen would have to like run away. Why? Because what if the queen just captures the bishop? You can just capture with the rook, and you're up a queen, correct? So here the black pieces will probably just grab a pawn or something. They're down one piece. And just because you're up one piece for the white pieces in this position, it doesn't mean that you already or automatically won the game. You still need to prove it. You need to like finish the game. You need to win, but you have a big advantage. All right, so we need to still play chess. And if in this case you're the black pieces, it doesn't mean that you can just give up or resign. You can try to keep playing on and try to go for a draw. Remember that we're not perfect, so people are gonna make mistakes here and there. And somehow, by a miracle, you can actually probably win this game too if you're the black pieces. Okay, so you should not give up. All right, and then in this position here, also referring to skewers, are we able to spot any skewers in this position? We can. Okay, so bishop f4 again. Bishop f4 is a good skewer in this position because the bishop is able to attack the queen, but also through X-ray vision, attack the rook on b8. Okay, is the queen able to retreat and also defend the rook at the same time? It's a little bit difficult, right? I mean, it's actually impossible because there's a pawn on e7, which doesn't allow the queen to go to e8 to defend the rook. So in this position, the queen will probably like move to a5 to grab at least one pawn, and then you can just capture and be up a clean rook. Okay, so in this position, the kebab is not the only thing well done, but if you were to be the black pieces, you might as well be done with the game too, right? It'll be hard to win, but it's not impossible. Or I mean, you can at least try to play for a draw or something, right? But yes, that's the important thing about spotting these little things like forks, pins, and skewers. And remember, skewers through X-ray vision and pins through X-ray vision, right? Try to spot these things in your games, and if you're able to review your games, you'll be able to probably spot certain things that you have missed. And these are concepts that will help you for future games. I'll see you on the next video.